I found a hidden camera in my Alfie. What I discovered when I checked the footage changed everything I thought about my boyfriend's business trip. I've always been the trusting type, maybe too trusting, according to my friends. So when my boyfriend of 3 years, Mark, started taking more frequent business trips for his consulting job, I never questioned it, even when those trips always seemed to fall on weekends, even when he'd return home oddly energized rather than travel-worn last month. I finally had a reason to be suspicious, but not of Mark. I was staying at an FER in Chicago for a friend's wedding when I noticed something strange about the smoke detector in the bedroom. It was slightly larger than normal and positioned directly above the bed. A quick Google search confirmed my fears. Hidden cameras disguised as smoke detectors are disturbingly common. I stood on a chair and examined it closer. Odder enough, there was a tiny lens. My skin crawled, thinking about what it might have recorded already. I immediately called Wi-Fi support and filed a report, but I couldn't stop wondering if there were other cameras I hadn't spotted. That's when I remembered the tech trick my IT friend had taught me. Most wireless cameras broadcast on a network you can detect with your phone. I turned off the hyper, opened my phone's network settings, and scanned for devices. There it was, H2T came -3 broadcasting from inside the apartment. What happened next was pure impulse. I found the camera's IP address and realized the owner had never changed the default password 3 attempts later. Admin password and finally 12,345 I was in. I could see the camera's stored footage including recordings of me from earlier that day. I should have stopped there, called the police, waited for EFA to respond, but something made me check the previous recordings. Maybe it was curiosity, maybe it was fate. I scrolled back through the footage to the previous weekend, the same bedroom, we guests, a man and woman in an intense embrace the moment they entered the room. The man's back was to the camera, but something about his build, his movements felt hauntingly familiar. When he turned to close the door, I dropped my phone like it had burned me. It was Mark, my Mark, on his business trip to Denver, not Chicago, with a woman I'd never seen before. My hands shook as I picked up my phone and continued watching, unable to stop myself. They stayed the entire weekend. The camera had captured everything. Their laughter over room service, falling asleep tangled together, morning kisses that mirrored exactly how he woke me up at home. This wasn't a one-night stand. This was intimacy, routine. The woman even had her own toothbrush in the bathroom. I called my friend whose wedding I was in town for and explained through tears that I couldn't make it. Then I booked the next flight home, arriving a full day before Mark was due back from his Denver conference. When he came through our apartment door Sunday night, tanned and smiling, I was sitting calmly at the kitchen table with printouts of the camera stills. How was Chicago? I asked quietly, his face, the immediate confusion, then the flash of panic. Then the calculated recovery told me everything I needed to know about our 3 years together. Denver, he corrected automatically. The conference was in Denver. I told you that I slid the photos across the table. The hidden camera in your FEA would disagree. What followed was the kind of conversation you rehearse in your head but can never fully prepare for. The woman was his coworker. It had been going on for 8 months. They had stayed in that same Chicago EFI 5 times. He liked the neighborhood. I never meant to hurt you, he said, the most predictable line in the betrayal script. And I never meant to thank a hidden camera for showing me the truth, I replied. But here we are. The irony isn't lost on me. An illegal invasion of privacy exposed the most intimate betrayal of my privacy. The camera that was meant to violate guests instead liberated one from a life of deception. I reported the APO host to both the company and the police. Mark moved out the next day. Sometimes I wonder if I should feel guilty about accessing that camera footage without permission. But then I remember, trust should be earned, not given blindly. And sometimes the most important things we discover are the things we were never meant to see. I still travel, I still stay in Airbnbs, but now I always check the smoke detectors first thing, and I always change the default passwords on my devices.